Snipers, you have to see what's happening with Bitcoin price right now, as this is an emergency midday Wednesday update with Bitcoin right now. Following the S&P 500, the SPY down 3.4%. There's a lot to talk about today. We're going to get real here on the Snipers channel, as we always do. And I want to start off by saying that we've been taking short positions on altcoins over the last 72 hours. We shorted Tezos, Curve, and we have about a dozen other short positions open as I record this video. And that's not a surprise for those that are tuned into the Snipers channel. We are very bullish on Bitcoin, but we've been bearish on altcoins based on the way that Bitcoin dominance and the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart has been reacting to recent price action. And I was very clear about that with our recent update talking about Bitcoin dominance. And this right now is very important, Snipers. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support these four-dimensional updates. But we're going to discuss whether or not we should be worried right now, because the DXY is pushing up. Jerome Powell was on Wall Street Journal yesterday, and he said that he was willing to do whatever it took to bring down inflation. Now, should this be a concern for those invested in the equity markets or in Bitcoin? Well, first let's say this. Look at the S&P 500 right now, forming new daily lows. Bitcoin still holding strong above 29,000. That may change by the time you're watching this video, but what's very clear right now is that Bitcoin has yet to form any further lows since we saw the sell-off due to the whole Luna situation. Why am I bringing this up? Well, Luna had to sell $3 billion worth of Bitcoin, and all that was able to do was bring Bitcoin down to form a low below 30,000 at 26,700, which was the bears' first initial downside target, before now we're seeing them change their story and say, oh, well, now 22,000 is on the table. And so are we going to be coming down to test 25,000 or even potentially below that level towards the 2018 previous all-time high here at 19,000? I don't believe that's on the table right now. I don't think there's a strong case to make that that's on the table. Now, that doesn't mean that altcoins won't sell off, because right now it's clear that altcoins are showing some weakness against Bitcoin ever since the situation with Luna. And that started with the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart selling off. This has always been an indicator of whether or not there's fear in the market. And you can see that we've yet to get a confirmation that this wants to see a reversal. And so what walks like a duck and what talks like a duck 8 out of 10 times is a duck. And that's why we are currently taking short positions on altcoins, because the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart is the leading indicator for altcoins. And that could make us assume that altcoins have yet to see the worst of their sell-offs. And does that mean Bitcoin will see further lows beyond 26,700, for example? No, not at all. What that means, though, is that if Bitcoin is moving sideways, as we know here, for those tuned into the channel over the last 5 years, when Bitcoin dominance is moving up, the concern there is that when Bitcoin has downside moves while it's moving sideways, altcoins could suffer greatly on those downside moves. So that's exactly what's happening right now. It's very clear that that's happening. If you guys look at your altcoin portfolios, you'll see that. And so until we can see the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart maybe change the storyline, or at least give us a confirmation that, okay, it indeed wants to become bearish, which would be a break of 65,000 Satoshis, I think that this is one of the most important puzzle pieces that we have to monitor here on the Snipers channel over the next few days, because that's going to be the leading indicator of where the market sentiment wants to go. And I'll say this as well. We know the DXY has a bearish divergence on the daily chart, and it has been calming down. That, to me, means that the DXY could be turning into a bullish puzzle piece soon. I'm not going to change the DXY into a bullish puzzle piece until we see a confirmation of a reversal, but we are seeing the early signs of it wanting to calm down. There's a bearish divergence on the daily chart, and in 2016 and 2020, that indicated a top for the DXY. S&P 500 came close to the 600-day moving average. Right now we're seeing some downside, since we have seen some upside over the last few days. And so could we confirm that we have seen a reversal just yet? I wouldn't say that that's going to be the case until we can get above the monthly open. But what's interesting to me on this chart is the fact that the S&P 500 tested its previous weekly open at 4087. Bitcoin hasn't been able to do that because it's been showing weakness against the S&P 500 after what happened to Luna, bringing the confidence down in the cryptocurrency market. And that was clear with the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. But let's say that Bitcoin does want to follow the S&P 500, which there's been a lot of correlation with Bitcoin and the S&P 500 over the last few years, then Bitcoin could potentially get to 34,000, which is its previous weekly open, because the S&P 500 has already done that. And so I stand with the fact that I still believe it's more likely for Bitcoin not to come and test further lows, at least in the immediate short term, and that it's more likely for Bitcoin to come and test this previous weekly open, to follow the S&P 500, because if it did that, then we'd look at it and say, okay, well, it's just doing what the S&P 500 has done, versus us saying, okay, let's be bears here and say that, okay, Bitcoin is ready to see 25,000. Well, the S&P 500 has not done that, and so that would be the more unlikely scenario still, in my opinion. And so question is, how do we play this market right now with altcoins potentially at jeopardy of seeing continued sell-off? Well, we start to short altcoins on the downside moves for Bitcoin, and we certainly do not short Bitcoin. As a matter of fact, we may want to take long positions on Bitcoin when we see it get oversold. And here's one thing I'll say, if you're wondering when is this going to end, this type of market sentiment, well, remember, Bitcoin dominance has been correlated to the gold to Bitcoin chart, and the gold to Bitcoin chart, if you notice here, already has come towards its 100-week moving average, which Bitcoin dominance has yet to do. And so another thing that we want to monitor is Bitcoin dominance going to get to 50% dominance and follow the gold to Bitcoin chart, because that right there could be the end for this Bitcoin dominance rally. And that would be something to keep in mind, because that would start to change the sentiment in the market potentially. So we'll monitor Bitcoin dominance and the Ethereum to Bitcoin chart. I think they're more important than ever. And that was very clear in our recent update that we posted on the weekend when we saw that volatile move in the cryptocurrency market. And it was clear that that volatile move was altcoins moving into Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin moved back above 30,000. Some altcoins didn't get to regain those gains. And so it's clear what's happening right now is altcoins, in the downside and upside moves are moving into Bitcoin as a hedge, which is not a surprise, because Bitcoin is the digital version of gold in this market, and it acts as a hedge against downside or a sideways market. So I think that that's the main thing to keep in mind here. Outside of that, when it comes to revolving parts, I'm still not seeing too much concerns. Look at the Euro 100 closing last week with a nice bullish candle, maintaining the midpoint of this channel that it's in. It's going to be very hard to say that we're seeing a breakdown in the Euro 100, as it's already seen quite a bit of gains. Japan as well, doing quite well. We're not seeing signs of a breakdown right now. And then the S&P 500, the most important puzzle piece, yes, it's pulling back right now. This is really the first major pullback since we've seen the potential bottom or reversal. Obviously, we can't call it a bottom or reversal just yet, but there's still early signs here that it could be that we're just forming a higher low right now, which would be also mimicked on Bitcoin's chart. Because we have to be honest here. I mean, we cleared out a lot of leverage in the market. We cleared out some of the bad projects, obviously. And now that we're seeing the capital in the market and USDT coming back into exchanges, we could assume that right now we're seeing more of an intrinsic value in the markets when it comes to Bitcoin and these altcoins, and that, maybe sideways to higher is the path of least resistance at this point, versus a continuation of dumping and lower prices. Because, at first the bears were saying, okay, 26K is going to be the bottom. We're going to come to 26K when we were holding 34,000. And then it happened, and now they're changing their story to say, okay, now 22,000 is on the table. Well, what's going to happen is they're just going to keep bringing up that lower target, because maybe they're shorting, whatever it might be, and they're betting against Bitcoin, where in reality right now, we know Bitcoin is in oversold territory. As much as we want to say that there could be further downside, there's a very strong case to make right now that Luna Terra brought down the market, and that we shouldn't come and see any further lows from that, and that was a capitulation event that we'll look back on years from now. And so I still stick with that opinion, snipers. I'm not concerned that Bitcoin moved below 29,000 today. The S&P 500 pulled back over 3%, and so that would be expected. But as long as we're not seeing these puzzle pieces break down, I don't think there's anything to worry about. Maybe we're just seeing a slow grind up. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, snipers. But the way we're playing this is we're just shorting altcoins. We've got about a dozen open altcoin shorts right now. So for those in the Discord, we'll continue to monitor price action on the charts. And with that, thank you all for tuning into the Snipers channel this Wednesday. It's still early in the week. We've got 2 more business days left So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you guys updated as always. And until next time, have an amazing week, snipers. Smash like button for the YouTube algorithm if you support these 4-dimensional updates. And we'll talk later. Snipers, out.